Hey guys, and welcome to another one of Corey Rahr's blog, or I guess vlog, because it's a video blog. Go figure. Um, so I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got a new webcam, so I got that going for me now, and I also got a pop filter for my microphone, so making progress. I don't know if there's really any other things I need. Like I said before. Have I said that before? I don't really plan on being a very popular YouTube channel. It's because, like I said before, my voice is a little not great for entertainment, I guess. It's a unique voice, but I'm just really a boring person. Let's be honest. But I figured I'd try out the new webcam, see how that goes, and maybe just talk about some stuff, like a vlog. Weird. So I wrote down a few things that I wanted to talk about actually. They're all kind of stupid, but let's talk about my hearing. So I'm actually completely deaf in my left ear. It's a sensorineural hearing loss. Oh, I almost forgot. I am going to be drinking a Dark and Stormy. Okay, and Dark and Stormy is, I just use 6 ounces of ginger beer. I think it's like Reed's ginger beer. And then I use 2 ounces of Gosling's Black Seal rum, which is the recommended one. And I also add just a little bit of lime juice because you usually garnish it with a lime wedge, but I don't, who the frick has limes in their refrigerator? I don't. I have some lime juice, and that's why I added to that, so it adds a little citrusy taste to it. So anyways, I've been deaf in my left ear for, oh gosh, I've lost so much track of time. It's been a while. I would say I lost my hearing in 2012-ish. I think that's right. Like I said, it's been so long. You get used to it after a while. But, yeah, I can't hear a damn thing in my left ear now. And, the story behind that is I get really dry ear canals. I'm sure this is probably too much information for some people, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. So I get really dry ear canals. And, I mean, the recommendation for that is you can put a little bit of lotion in there. I think some people have even recommended putting a little bit of baby oil in there. So I actually have like a lotion that kind of helps with that. It also helps with seborrheic dermatitis or something like that. I can't remember. It's basically like having dandruff on your skin, and instead of your scalp, you'll have it like around your nose and everything. So I have a lotion that kind of treats that, and that really helps out with my ears. It hasn't been too bad lately, but every once in a while. So what I used to do when I was younger, which I guess it wasn't really that much, it wasn't, I cannot talk. It wasn't that long ago, but I used to just stick like pencils and stuff in my ear just to like scratch it. I think I've heard people using like car keys or something. I mean, obviously they recommend putting nothing larger or nothing smaller than your elbow in your ear, which, obviously means you don't frickin' put stuff in your ear, retard. I know I kind of use the term retard a lot, but that's just who I am. An asshole. But basically, there was one day, I don't know if it was Valentine's Day or the day after, but this was on my first internship when I worked at First Energy. And it was a Monday, if I remember correctly. And like that week, I had called in and said I was going to work third shift because they needed somebody to do a supervisory role. I was doing some overtime essentially for a specialized job position where we were basically monitoring, just making sure people aren't dropping wrenches into the suppression pool. So I was doing that for a while. And I was getting some overtime, which was nice, and it was my first job. But they needed somebody to cover for third shift, and I was just like, all right, I don't really have a life outside of work, so I'll do it. Why not? I get some extra money. But So I told him I was going to do that, but I don't know if my like direct boss knew I was going to do that because I was basically working for two guys at that point, where one guy was running the supervisory position and one guy was just there for my internship essentially. But I tried getting everybody to know that I was going to be there for Thursday, so I didn't show up to work on that Monday, and that was when my ex-girlfriend was over, and I think she went to the restroom or something. I don't know if she went to go take a shower or something. I don't remember the details. All I remember is that I was sitting at my computer just doing my thing. Whatever the heck that was. Who knows? But, and then I had a paper clip next to my computer. Because I started using like really small objects. Like normally I use like a mechanical pencil or something to scratch my ear. But I had actually unbent part of the paper clip to stick it in my ear, essentially, not just stick the whole paper clip in there. So I had like a piece of a straight paper clip going in there, and all I remember is I was scratching my ear and I was like, oh, there we go, finally. And then all of a sudden my hand was, I think I was like doing something like this, and then suddenly I don't know if I hit a nerve or something, but my hand twitched and went up into my ear, and I was like, oh no. And then I took it out, and then my head just suddenly went limp. I was just like, ugh. And I just remember sitting there going, oh crap, what have I done now? So, I tried lifting my head back up, and then things started spinning like crazy. So, if you ever damage your inner ear, you'll start to have terrible vertigo, and the whole room will start spinning. And that's what happened. So my girlfriend was actually in the closest bathroom, so I had to go all the way. We were on the second floor, so I had to go all the way down to the stairs with the entire like house spinning around me. And I was like holding onto the handrail for dear freaking life, just to make sure I don't fall down the stairs, because this is where the vertigo was getting really bad. And like I felt myself getting super nauseous like really fast because everything was just constantly spinning. And I was just like, oh fuck, what did I do? And I finally made it to the downstairs restroom, where I just kind of like sat near the toilet, or like kneeled near it at least. And I was just sitting there like, and like I hadn't even eaten anything that day, so I was basically just throwing up bile. So that was terrible. And it eventually, at first I was like, okay, I'll just ride this out. Maybe this won't be so bad. No, it was there pretty much for the rest of the day. But I think it felt like an eternity, but it must have been like 10 or 15 minutes into it where I was just like, okay, I need to go get help. This is bad. So I don't know if I went back upstairs. I think I went back upstairs. And then I went into the restroom upstairs once my girlfriend was done. And I grabbed a Q-tip. And I like put it in my ear just to make sure I wasn't like bleeding profusely, because I wasn't even sure what I actually did to my ear. And like I took the Q-tip out, and there was like a little splotch of blood on it. So I ended up perforating my eardrum. But I think what also happened was, because normally when you perforate your eardrum, your hearing will come back. But, being the engineer that I am, essentially the scientist, I tried doing more research into it when I could. And I'm pretty sure that the paperclip was actually long enough to go into my ear, perforate my eardrum, and then your cochlea, or that bone in there with all the hairs inside of it, has little membranes on the outside that allow the vibrations to go in. There's a little window called the oval window, and I'm pretty sure I actually ended up scratching that oval window, and like some of the fluid, which I can't remember the name of it, you can Google search it. Some of the fluid must have leaked out and caused the vertigo to be really bad. And then somehow that must have like bent the ears the ears. It must have bent the hairs inside my ear, to essentially permanently cause me to lose my hearing. And my balance was off for a while too. But my girlfriend came in and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." I was basically doing that. But yeah, I just told her to call an ambulance. I was like, "You're gonna have to call somebody, because I like basically can't even walk on my own anymore." And then she called in the ambulance, and and this is after we had only been dating for maybe 2 months. So, like, she barely even knew me, and she's just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to call an ambulance for this guy that I barely even know now. Oh, man. So eventually they took me in the ambulance, and they gave me, like, a little vomit dish to vomit, like one of those little plastic trays, and I was just, like, every 5 minutes, just... It was bad. So... we eventually got to the hospital. I think my girlfriend was driving behind the ambulance the whole time. And when we finally got to the emergency room, and I just remember they sat me down, asked me what happened. I intentionally told them I put a pencil in my ear. So I'm pretty sure that kind of sealed the deal on me being deaf forever, because if they had known I had probably used an unbent paper clip, then they probably would have looked a little deeper and gone, oh, you might have actually completely damaged your inner ear. But me being stupid and being embarrassed said, oh yeah, I'll tell them I used a pencil. Yeah, that'll be... And, like, of course, using a paper clip it's going to be about the same size, like the perforation hole. It's kind of a redundancy, but the hole in my eardrum kind of matched up with what I was saying. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we could tell where the pencil kind of went inside your eardrum. But they're like, yeah, so you're not feeling it now, but you're probably going to be in a lot of pain soon. So then I think it was the nurse who got the morphine for me, and she just put it inside me. I was like, And then I just remember her telling me, okay, it's going to feel like you're going to hit a brick wall. And I was like, what the hell is it? And that's when the morphine kicked in. Didn't feel like hitting a brick wall, so that was kind of a weird way of describing it. But I was definitely like... oh, that's what morphine's like. And then they also gave me, I forget the name. There were some drugs. It was some, like, not introvert. That's what I am. But, it was some, like, some medicine that was supposed to help with the vertigo, which it kind of helped a little, but didn't really. And then they also gave me some antibiotics and all that. So then, this is when I was living about an hour away from my home. I was living in Perry, Ohio. So did we end up going back? I think, no, we went back to the house I was living at, where I was sharing a place with my brother-in-law. And we just grabbed a few of my things, and I think I vomited, like, one more time when my mom was calling me, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, just hang out. She's like, oh, okay, good. So I ended up going back home, back to Brunswick, a little south of Cleveland, back in my hometown. And then, I could not keep food down for a while. It wasn't until, like... And, like I said, I hadn't eaten all day. So it probably wasn't until, like, 12 hours later that I was finally starting to eat food. But even then, I was still, like, kind of woozy. So they gave me some suppositories. Them suppositories. Right up the butthole. The suppositories were supposed to help keep the food down. Or keep the nausea away. Which it did. It was just kind of weird putting pills up my butt for the first time. So that was great. And then the next morning, I woke up feeling a lot better. But I was still like, And I felt so stupid, and I realized how dumb everything was. But the doctors were like, oh, your hearing will come back, and you'll be fine. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I was just like, okay, I just got to get through this healing period. But I got through the healing period. The doctors looked at me again. They're like, oh, the perforation's gone. And then I was just like, well, I'm still deaf. And they're like, that sucks. Well, have fun with that, because ENTs literally can't do anything for deafness. Like, they can kind of help with a few things, but... the ear is still basically a mystery for human beings right now. I mean, we have cochlear implants and everything that are making things a lot easier, but cochlear implants are more of something they do for people who were born deaf, basically. And normally they're completely deaf in both ears, as opposed to having only one ear. So, I mean, I'm still pretty much living a normal life. It's just... if there are people on my left side, this is my left side. Let me show you a demonstration of my left side. So if there are people on my left side, I have trouble hearing them, especially in loud environments. Like if I'm at a bar or a restaurant and someone's talking over here, I almost can't hear anything they're saying. So I usually have to like turn my ear and be like, all right, like cup my ear as a hearing aid. The doctors did, they recommended, what was it? I think it was like a microphone they would implant at the base of my skull. Or no, that was a speaker. They put a microphone basically like on my left ear, and then they'd put the receiver basically on the base of my skull, and then that would help me allocate sound. But I don't think my insurance was even going to cover that anyways, and it would have been super expensive. And then also, like, we're actually in a time where people are doing a lot of research looking into, I guess, curing deafness. Using stem cell research on rats and everything like that. So they've been making a lot of progress. I mean, they've I don't know how long ago it was, but they figured out that birds actually have the capability of regenerating their hair cells inside their ear, whereas mammals have some sort of I don't think it's a protein, but it's some sort of chemical in our bodies that prevent the regeneration of the hairs in our ears. Which at first you're like, well, what the hell, man? Why do we have that chemical? That chemical serves a bunch of other purposes, but I'm not a biologist, so you either ask somebody who is a biologist or do more Google searching. That's what I do. Lots of Google searching. But yeah, there's some sort of hormone or something in our. I don't think it's a hormone, but chemical in our body that prevents that from happening. So I've had that for I guess 3 years now. The time's just been flying by. So I've actually gotten used to it. Like I still go to concerts and everything. But the worst part was that when I went to go see the doctors afterwards, they assigned me to 2 doctors, so I had to pay 2 different co-pays. My mom was she was there with me, and she's just like, "Oh, good, we were gonna go get dinner, but I guess not." And I just remember the person at the register was like, "Oh yeah, well that sucks," and just like took our money. So we ended up paying like twice the co-pay that we normally would, because it's like, all right, go to this one doctor to do the hearing test, and then go to another doctor to be like, oh yeah, so it looks like you can't hear out of your left ear. Wow, really? I'm so glad I just gave you like $80 to tell me that I'm deaf in my freaking ear. I just really appreciate everything you're doing for the medical community. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go buy a gun now and kill myself. Was essentially how that worked out. So, that was terrible. And then they wanted me to come back every 6 months. And it's like, I don't think I need a test to, know how deaf I am in my left ear. It's pretty fucking deaf. But from one standpoint, I realize why they do the test is so they make sure that your other ear doesn't eventually go deaf, and you lose that one too, and then you go, well, what's going on? That's the thing too, is I'm already prepared for when I get super old. I'm gonna be like, or everyone my age is gonna be like, oh no, I'm losing my hearing and blah. I'm gonna be like, what? You guys have already been sounding like this for my whole life. So at least I'm prepared for my elderly days, even though I'm 25 right now. I'm getting too old, man. You hit those double digits and it all goes downhill. But I guess I could end the vlog there, but I was gonna probably just share one more story and then end it. Let's just talk about me moving to Utah, moving across the United States. So, hang on, let me think. I'm pretty sure that should be it about being deaf. Like I said, it's just really hard to hear people on my left side. Yeah, alright. So, when I moved from Fort Wayne, Indiana to, not like Salt Lake City. I'm kind of north of Salt Lake City. Kind of closer to Ogden. That's kind of like, Ogden and Layton are kind of the, better known cities out here, up north, near the Air Force Base. So when I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, I was working with engineering. Hang on a second. Okay. So I was originally working for a contracting company. And that was a company where I was working in a production setting, and I was just sitting there going, hey, what about this? Shouldn't we fix this? And they're like, fix things? You want to actually fix things? What's wrong with you? I get like weird looks when I'm like, hey, we should probably make this better so that this is more efficient. And they're like, what is this efficiency you speak of? What's a planned maintenance? So stupid. I couldn't stand that job after a year. So, like I said, I ended up getting the job out here. Pretty much the same contracting company, but in a different state, working on a different project for the Air Force. And so I went out here, and I just remember telling my parents, like, hey, I'm going to move to the West now. And they're like, oh, okay. My parents are actually really supportive. They're just really surprised because at the same time, my sister was having a baby. So all these things were happening at once. I was like, I'm going to move to the West. And my sister's like, I'm going to go have a baby. And it's like, oh, God, what's happening? So both my parents came out to Fort Wayne, helped me pack a few things. When I told my parents, my dad was like, oh, you can hitch a trailer to your car. And that'll be a lot cheaper than just getting a truck and towing your car and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I guess, maybe. And like, stupid me thinking, I had a 1-bedroom apartment, so I was like, oh, I don't really have that many things to bring, so I can just probably pack that stuff in a trailer and get going. And then whatever I don't need, I could just throw away. But, by the way, my car at the time was a 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix, I think like SE or something. So it had a V6 engine in it, but that car's not really designed for towing things. But, I mean, the V6 engine helps. But that car's already had radiator issues before. So, it was a bad idea. If I had a recommendation, I would, for anybody out there who wants to move across the United States, either west or east, my recommendation would be either sell all your things that you don't need, and like, you gotta define what you don't need, because you can go to the store and just rebuy things. Like, you can sell your couch to somebody who wants it, and then move to your new city and go to the furniture store and get another couch. It's like things that are like non-essential you can sell fairly easily and then just get out of there. In my experience, though, when I get job offers, they're like, oh yeah, you have like 2 weeks to move out here. I'm like, I'm on the other side of the United States. Can I get at least like a month before I move out? So I'm always on some sort of time constraint. But my recommendation would definitely be to sell as many things as you think you can. And don't be afraid to let go of things too, because, I mean, it's just more space and weight to carry. It's actually a little bit of freedom just letting go of things. But and then if you can't let go of enough things, just get a rental truck and tow your car. Unless you have like a really, like if you have a truck that you drive or something that's really good at hauling things, then feel free to get a trailer. I'm just saying, if you have a sedan, then you might want to sell a lot and then like, I don't know, just pick up a moving van or something and just tow your truck or car or whatever. But so we got a trailer, and I got a hitch on my car from U-Haul and all that. And me and my dad just totally overpacked the car. Like, there's a weight limit on the trailer. Definitely be aware of dimensions and weight capacities of your trailer. Because we totally overpacked that thing. And my car's engine was not happy. Like, we made it pretty far. No, actually, no, we didn't. We literally were like, I think it was an hour into the trip. We actually left in the evening. I think it was like 6 or 7 or something till we left. And I think driving from Indiana to Utah is, if you don't stop driving, which you're going to stop, it's a 24-hour drive. So it ends up being more of like a 32-hour trip, or like a 2-day trip, basically. So I think about an hour in, I was watching the thermometer, like the temperature gauge on my dashboard, and seeing the temperature just go up steadily. I was like, we're carrying some extra weight, that should be fine. But then it started reaching the red zone, and I was just like, okay, so we're pulling over because this is bad. And that was the beginning of our trip, was constantly watching the temperature gauge. But driving long enough, we'd shift into like third gear, and then we'd shift into like second and all that. So we were shifting gears a lot on my automatic car, and we eventually had like a system going. I was like piloting a freaking plane at that point, just to try to make sure that the engine wouldn't overheat. And we were like dumping water. This was during the summer too, so we were just dumping water into the radiator as coolant. What you can do over the summer, it's just during the winter that water can freeze. But I was planning on selling the car anyways. But I don't know who would want to buy a piece of crap like that. I did not leave that car in great condition. So I think we just kept moving west, and it was treacherous. And we took turns driving, obviously. So I had to like teach my dad. I'm like, okay, so shift into this gear, and then make sure you watch the temperature gauge. If the temperature gauge goes too high, start to slow down. Because if you're going fast enough, you're revving the engine a lot, and then the engine starts overworking, and it goes, oh god, what's happening? And it freaks out. So then you have to like, and we're starting to reach roads where you can go like 80 miles per hour, and like we're driving at like 50 at the most, and the cars are just whizzing by us like, no, we're just trying to get out of here. It was bad. And fun thing too is when you're in the east and there's like the Midwest is literally just trees. Like all my memories of living out in the Midwest is trees, more trees, grass, and then farmland. So lots of farms, lots of trees, lots of forests, which is cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some national parks out there that are worth checking out, but you know, when you've grown up in the Midwest, you kind of get tired of trees, especially during like allergy season where all the frickin' trees are making me sneeze. But I think it was like halfway through Nebraska, you could start to see the tree line start to disappear. Also, Nebraska definitely had some interesting smells. Everything just kind of smelled like manure. But I think, and then once you get into Wyoming, you start to see some rock formations, but then you get into those rolling hills as well. But I think it was partway into Wyoming, my car was like pretty much borderline about ready to explode. To the point where we actually stopped at a hotel because we definitely wanted to get some sleep. And like I parked my car out in front, and my dad went in to go reserve some rooms or check out the prices. And I was just like, okay, I'll just get out and make sure I inspect the car and make sure nothing's on fire, basically. And as soon as I step out of the car, I see a little puddle, and I'm like, oh, okay, I wonder if that's just from the air conditioner or something. And then the puddle started getting bigger, and I was like, that's not right. And I looked closer at it, and it was looking green. And I was just like, oh no, that's definitely coolant. So what had actually happened was the overflow tank was overflowing. So it was spewing out the excess like super hot liquid. But with my experience with my car, I thought it was a leak. So I was just like, oh, this is a great time to have a leak right now. And my dad came out and he's like, all right, I got room keys. And I'm just like, well, that's great. I think we're fucked. And he's just like, oh no. So we eventually like got the car somewhere else. We kind of moved it out, out of the way essentially. And then we were just sitting in the hotel room like, oh, dude, we're probably gonna have to trash the car. We're gonna have to call U-Haul and ask them to come out and save us, basically. So there was a lot of time of us just sitting in the room going, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? We ended up I was just like, screw it, we're gonna have to let go of my car. We're gonna have to go sell it. I can't do this anymore. And then we called U-Haul and said, hey, we're having troubles. Do you think we can just get a van out here and we can just, one with a hitch where we can just, tow the trailer? And then I don't know what the hell we were gonna do with the car. We were gonna have to do something with it. But U-Haul never got back to us. Like, we had made the call, and then like we knew where the facility was, and then nobody called us back. And they said they were gonna come over to the hotel, and then they just never did. So we ended up having to do stuff on our own. Like, we actually took my car and we just said, screw it, let's just see if it drives still. And we just poured some water in the coolant tank and just kept driving it. And then once we were driving, I think we were driving it without the trailer too. So we were just driving it out, and we're like, oh, this is actually driving just fine now. And like we had finally made it to the U-Haul facility, and it was basically closed, and it looked like the backyard of somebody's house. It was really kind of messed up where we were. So like there was no sign of U-Haul anywhere. Like they were totally useless. And then I was looking at my dad. I was like, you know what? We might actually be able to pull this off. I think we just kind of overheated a little too much. And then, you know, we got our sleep at the hotel and we said, screw it, let's just drive out and do stuff. Make this happen. We're almost there. We were like halfway there, basically. So then we kept driving off. Eventually my cell phone died, and I didn't consider that. But I still had a phone charger for my car, so I used that. I think I charged up at the hotel as well. But my phone just kept dying really fast. Which sucked, because I wanted to make sure we got to my new apartment in Utah on time so we can get the keys and move stuff in. But my phone kept dying at the worst times. So we kept doing the old drive. Okay, let's make sure we go fast, but not too fast. Make sure it doesn't overheat, and do these things. Make sure that's in this position. All right, shift into second gear, and then shift into third, and then go into overdrive and do this. And it's just like, oh my god, this is the biggest fucking headache of my life. The weather was really hot and dry, and it was just like, it's definitely weird living in a place where 90% humidity is basically the normal. And then you go to Wyoming and Utah, and it's basically like living out in the desert. So you actually sweat and it evaporates, and you're like, oh, that's what that bodily function's for. Thank you, body. But so we were doing that for a while. Got to see some cool little sights here and there. And then once I got into Utah, I remember driving into Utah, and there's just like, you basically, I don't know if it's called Devil's Canyon or whatever, but you basically go through this huge canyon on I-80. And you're just looking up like, oh my gosh, this is what rock formations look like up close. Then you look in front of you, you're like, oh crap, I gotta straighten out. Because you're like, because this is where I was driving, and I'm like looking around and then trying to make sure I don't crash into anything. Because this is when you lived in a forest basically, and all you know is trees and nothingness, and then you see mountains and freaking rock formations. You're like, holy crap, that's awesome. So we were doing, and I remember driving in, and we had our windows down because we were like blasting the heat just to keep the engine cool. So not only is it like 80, almost 90 degrees probably, and we're blasting the heat in the car, and we got the windows rolled down. I just remember the dust hitting my eyes and being like, oh god, my eyes, they burn. And I'm like driving like, oh, I can't see. I think I did enough blinking that it finally stopped, but my gosh. It was like a bunch of sand went in my eyes. And then we finally got closer to where I was supposed to be, but I was looking at the clock and I was like, oh crap, the place is going to close. Like I think the apartment, I think it was, we got there on a Friday, and I think they closed at 5, and it was literally like 4:45 or something. It's like, oh crap, we might want to hurry up. But it's hard to hurry up when you got so much weight on your freaking backside. So I just kept driving, and we finally made it to the place. And then we were trying to find out where my actual apartment was. But I was trying to figure out where the clubhouse was, and for some reason it was like right in front of us, and I didn't even see it. But I think it was, I swear it was still like 4:57 or something. Like it was just a few minutes before 5 o'clock, and I was like, okay, there's got to be at least somebody closing up shop and getting ready to leave, so I can be like, hey, I just got here, can you just throw the keys at me? But yeah, I like ran to the clubhouse, knocked on the door, and they already had the close sign up, and no one fucking came. Like I even tried calling, and then like as soon as I was able to dial the number, my phone died because my freaking charger, when you use a car adapter, it doesn't charge as much. So my phone was basically dead, and I was just like, yeah, no, that figures. So I ended up, or me and my dad ended up having to go get a hotel room at the Best Western Plus. Actually, it was a really nice hotel room. But there were actually some restaurants and bars nearby. And we're like, oh man, well, I guess while we're here, maybe we'll just go check out some restaurants and stuff. And we're like, okay. And like we had been driving for 2 days. So both me and my dad were just super gross, and like I don't even remember if we showered at the other hotel we were at. I think we might have, but I don't think we did. But we got to the Best Western, and I think he went out to go for a smoke because he had originally quit, and then like me moving out to Utah and my sister being pregnant suddenly made him smoke more. Like he was super stressed out. So I think he went out for a smoke, and then I stayed in the hotel, and I was just like, I like ripped off my clothes and like jumped in the shower, and it was basically the best feeling in the world. And then he came back, and he eventually took a shower, and then like, I don't know, no, that was afterwards. So we turned a movie on the TV, and we just like, okay, let's just relax for. And like we were passed out like instantly. We were so tired from driving, and the bed was just so comfortable. And so we passed out, and I think I remember waking up at like 11 p.m. just going, "Oh God, what happened?" And I went over to the vending machine, and I grabbed like a bag of popcorn and some trail mix, and I came back, and then my dad eventually woke up, and I was like, well, we didn't go get dinner, but here. And he's like, all right. The trail mix was really filling, and then we just ate some popcorn and watched the movie. And then I don't remember if we stayed up much longer than that, but I just remember we eventually just went back to sleep and then woke up in the morning and was feeling super refreshed. And then we got my car and the trailer going again, and then, well, went out there and moved all my stuff in the apartment. My dad helped me move a bunch of stuff, so thanks, Dad, if you're watching this. I highly doubt you are, because you're technologically inept. Kind of like how I'm socially inept. But anyways, I love my parents. It's just my dad, he is definitely not with technology. Whereas my mom pretty much is. So she's cool. My dad's uncool. I don't like him. No. I like my dad. I mean, he's my dad. I mean, I guess you can't just love someone just because he's your dad, but I mean, he's definitely, he always has good intentions, so sometimes those good intentions don't really come out seeming like good intentions, but he is a good dad. Anywho, so we eventually got all the stuff moved in, and when I originally got the trailer, they offer you to take the furniture pads and everything. And at the time, I was like, oh, sure, we can use some furniture pads and whatever. And then once I saw how big the furniture pads are literally, they're just blankets. Like, I'm stupid and I didn't realize that, because they're meant for, like, tables and dressers and stuff to make sure they don't get banged up. But for me, I thought the furniture pads were, like, going to be these small, like, pads. Like, okay, when you call something a pad, it's usually pretty freaking small. Like, if they're going to be blanket, call them a furniture protective blanket thing. Okay, I guess it doesn't roll off the tongue as well, but goddamn, man, like, I was not prepared. And they give you like 10 of them or something ridiculous. Like, we only needed like 1 or 2. So we ended up returning the other ones back in Fort Wayne. I was like, here, I'm going to return these. And the guy at the cashier was like, yeah, so we don't really do that. And I was like, listen, I cannot frickin' fit these in the trailer with how much crap I have in it already. Just save the, like, they're U-Haul property. Keep them at the store. Go to my U-Haul reservation on your website and make a note that says, this customer turned in blah, blah, blah furniture pads. And then make sure I don't get dinged for it when I turn the trailer back in Utah. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you how to do your job. You have a website. I know you have the capabilities of writing. Like, even if you get a pen and paper, just write it down and make sure Corey Yambor turned this in. Whatever. It's just like, whatever. So, I felt pretty good about that. We turned the trailer in, and then I get another phone call. It's like, hey, so we noticed you didn't turn the furniture pads in. I'm like, oh my god, go fucking figure. The guy didn't write the frickin' note down. And I told him, I was like, I turned those furniture pads in Fort Wayne. Don't give me shit about this. Like, seriously. You're gonna lose. I don't think I'm gonna be using U-Haul anytime soon. I don't know if Penske's any better, but so we ended up doing that. Oh, and then eventually some manager called me and he's like, "Hey, I just want to confirm you turned those furniture pads in Fort Wayne, right?" I was like, Yes." He's like, "All right, cool. That's all I really needed to hear. I just wanted to make sure that that was all taken care of." I'm like, "Okay, well, I did, so whatever." And then, so eventually got sorted out. I didn't get dinged for it, but it was still like, come on, really? And then eventually, when I moved out here, it was me and my dad. And my dad ended up living with me for about, I don't know if it was like a week or 2 weeks or something. And then eventually I was kind of like, all right, you're probably going to have to leave, Dad. He was it was like one of those rare moments where my dad was kind of like mooching off of me for a little bit. We ended up going grocery shopping and stuff. And I'd come home from my new job and he'd like cook me dinner or something. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But he definitely had to go at some point. It's really weird. And I actually kicked him out of my apartment. It was like Father's Day. And I was like, Happy Father's Day, Dad. Get out of my apartment and go back home. So I ended up just buying him a plane ticket back to Ohio. And he just flew back out. I shouldn't say he just flew back out. That was that was quite a few months ago now. That was back in June. And it is now February, so I love how to look at a calendar, remember what month it was. But yeah, so that was an interesting experience, and like, you know, my dad and I chilled out here, drank some beers, and you know, I actually I have a hookah, so I lit that up to celebrate me moving in, and I set up my speaker system, played some music, so it was pretty fun. But you know, it was definitely like, all right, Dad, you gotta get out of here. So I just remember dropping him off at the airport on Father's Day and just saying, well, all right, see you later. Just call me if you need anything. And that was pretty much it. But for him, he got to live with me for a week or so. And so that was pretty much enough Father's Day for him. At least that's what he told me. Those aren't my words. I'm not like, that's what he gets and that's what he deserves. No, he was just like, no, it was really cool coming out, you know, basically taking a little vacation, going out west and checking out all the rocks and stuff. I'm like, yep, Utah sure is full of rocks and dirt. Rocks and dirt. Weird. But yeah, definitely in Utah, if you look at around all the cities and like man-made structures, you can see where people have planted trees. And then anywhere outside of civilization is just wasteland. Like you can see some sagebrush and like little patches of grass, but it's mostly just like dirt and nothingness. You're just like, huh. So I've gone out here and, you know, I've gone hiking a few times. Like, I mean, there's the mountain ranges like right over there. So people go skiing, hiking, mountain biking, all sorts of outdoor activities. And here I am making YouTube videos. Good job, me. But you know, I've gone hiking out at Antelope Island, and there's definitely a lot of cool stuff. I took a bunch of pictures out there, and I'm definitely looking forward to exploring Utah a lot more. I mean, obviously, I have a few complaints here and there. We get like really terrible inversions where all the pollution basically gets trapped in the city. So you like look. That's mostly during the winter, but you'll look out your window and go, "Why is it really so foggy?" And you're just like, "Oh yeah, that's the inversion. That's basically all just pollution I'm breathing in." So that's kind of a downside. Also, I mean, Utah is definitely Mormon heavy. It's not as Mormon heavy as it used to be. Like Salt Lake City is actually a super liberal city. I've been to Salt Lake City a bunch of times now. I've gone bar hopping out there. I've gone to a Metric concert, and the Metric concert I recently went to, and that was really cool. I would definitely recommend checking out Metric. Sponsor? No. Please give me money. But no, Metric's a really good band. Especially live. Like, they're just really good. I'm sure you could say that about any band, though. Oh, it's so good live. But oh, man. So, that's pretty much my experience moving across the United States and moving to Utah. Every once in a while I fly back out to Ohio and see my old friends, but it's definitely been a lonely experience. Like when I originally got my first job out here, I'm pretty sure like 80% of the people I worked with were Mormon, and like I almost had like no middle ground with them, other than like, a few, like, I mean, they're still people. They still listen to nerdy music and like play games and stuff. So I mean, I connected on those levels, but I've always hung out with friends that are super nerdy back in the Midwest, and I'm definitely one of those people who's like halfway nerd and then like halfway kind of like go out clubbing and have fun. So I've definitely been trying to find a group of friends who just likes to go out and like go have fun, and like nobody at my last job wanted to go out and just like go party. And then like, especially with Mormons, they don't want to go, they don't, it's not really fun for them to go to bars, because like I'll go to bars and like have drinks and we'll go dance or something, but like none of them really wanted to do anything. I found a decent group of friends who wanted to go to pub trivia, but then they constantly kept going to pub trivia and it got really boring really fast. Now I kept asking to like do other things and they didn't want to, so. But I also went to the Comic-Con out here at Salt Lake City, and that was huge. There was a huge turnout of people at Salt Lake City, which I was surprised, because I thought the San Diego one was pretty big. But it is. But Salt Lake City is like almost on the same level. Like it was big. It was a lot of fun too. I went there. We ended up day drinking and pulling out our flasks and drinking out there. So that was a lot of fun. I'm not really friends with that guy, but he did a lot of things that I didn't really agree with, and we just kind of went our separate ways. So whatever, it happens. Well, Nick, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry that had to happen, but I just couldn't stand working at my last job and being sad all the time, so I ended up getting another job. And now I'm still out here at Utah, but I'm basically a liaison for a company back in Ohio. And it's actually been really great. I've been given a lot of access to a lot of different things. I've been treated as a person, given a ton of responsibilities, as opposed to sitting in a cube and doing absolutely freaking nothing. And then like having this 4.5-year degree and not really using it at all. Which I'm still not really using, but I'm still having a lot more fun than I was. So I'm enjoying my job a lot more. And I've noticed that at my other job I was way too depressed, to the point where I'd get home from work and I'd like lay on the couch, go to sleep, eat something, then go to bed and like hate myself. Whereas now I go to my job, I come back and I'm like, what can I do to improve my apartment? And I like buy bar stools and buy frames for some of the pictures I have and frame them up on the walls. I'm like, man, this place looks a lot better when I'm not sad about everything in my life. So things have definitely gotten a lot better. But I mean, that's pretty much been my experience moving out here, out in the West, and I'm looking forward to the warmer weather. I kind of want to try out some snowboarding and snowboarding and skiing. Probably just snowboarding, because I used to snowboard back in Brandywine in Ohio. Skiboarding and snowing. Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet, because I've just been so busy with a bunch of different things. And I've been trying to like, I just recently kind of fixed my finances. So like everything's finally starting to even out and I can actually pay for things now, like food and paying electric bills and my insurance companies and all that. So that's always good. Being able to afford things is nice. So things have gotten a lot better for me now. I'm not going to say I have the greatest job in the world. That's not true. And that's also super subjective and really dependent on who you're talking to. But for me personally, I don't have the best job in the world, but it's been way better than the jobs I've had in the past. So that's all I really care about right now. Because I kept getting really bad jobs that were making me really sad, to the point I almost wanted to kill myself. But I don't, and like some days it felt like, I don't know if I really legitimately wanted to kill myself, or if I would just like shut myself down or something. But I was just not in a good place for a while. But like I said, I'm doing a lot better now. So that's why I'm making YouTube videos, because now I'm not so sad. Yay! So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about now. This is almost becoming another 1-hour video. But, you know, whatever, man. I do what I want. It's YouTube. I do what I want. Until all this copyright stuff becomes an issue. That's a whole nother topic with I'm sure you guys have noticed all the copyright stuff that's been an issue and all the fair use and all that. And it's just been really bad. So it's almost making me worried to actually make YouTube videos because I'm a small channel. I'm just doing this all by myself. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have any managers or management for. I literally just do this for a hobby. So like if I get copyright claims on my channel, I'm basically just gonna be shut down essentially. So and like I said, I don't really plan on being YouTube famous because I already have a job that I like doing. I just like doing this YouTube thing for fun. I mean, obviously, if this channel does become super popular and a lot more fun for me to do, then yeah, sure, I could try to do an internet career on YouTube. But I have an engineering degree, so I kind of like doing actual engineering as opposed to making videos and editing stuff and compressing video files and whatever. But I mean, I do this for a hobby because I do find it fun. I don't really make any money off of it or anything. I just kind of post videos to let my friends back at home watch because, like I said, I'm all the way out here in Utah. There's no great way to contact them other than like phone calls and Skype. So, I mean, these videos are kind of a nice little effort, essentially, to tell them how I'm doing and how everything's going, and tell the internet how I'm doing, and see if anyone else finds my interesting videos interesting. But anyway, I think I'm just gonna leave it there. I think I've talked way too much already. I should really limit myself, but whatever. The Dark and Stormy was pretty good. Not as strong as the Kamikaze drink. Kamikaze is basically like 1 part liquor, 1 part liquor, and then 1 part non-alcoholic beverage, whereas the Dark and Stormy is literally like 33% alcohol, and then like, well, not by volume, but I'm just saying like 1 part of it's an alcoholic, well, it's rum, and then the other 2 parts are a ginger beer, which isn't alcoholic, which I was trying to find an alcoholic ginger beer, but God forbid we'd have something like that in Utah. So I just used a regular ginger beer. But I would still recommend getting one. It's pretty good. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. And I appreciate your support as always. I hope to see you in the next episode. Whether it's probably going to be another Psychonauts episode, but like I said, feel free to comment below. Just let me know what else you guys want me to play on my channel, or what else you want me to talk about. I mean, I still have some other vlog ideas I was going to talk about, like an engineering part 2 video, and my one internship where I worked for a professor on campus. That's a whole freaking story. That would probably take another hour as well, just to talk about my internship there. But like I said, thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.